So I've had a shitty couple of days, enough so that I broke one of my rules. Um, I went out middle of the week because it's Wednesday as I'm recording this, and bought a really distressingly cheap beer. It's supposed to be like a citrusy IPA, and it's not, but it's fine, especially for what I paid for it. Anyway, I went to immigration the last 2 days. Really not worth talking about that. The short version is I got mixed up on an appointment, and the result of which is I had to go there 2 days to iron everything out. So that's not much fun. Not much to say about that, though. Bureaucracy sucks. I'm not going to be the first person to talk about that. I want to talk about a little incident that happened today, which, because I kind of sped through the problems with this place last time I did this. And I know that people don't really go for the stuff where I go negative, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's minor thing, but it kind of put me in mind of kind of what the system is like here. So I have this class that they call study hall, and it's supposed to be them fit because again, it's obligatory that we give them homework, and it's all set in advance, and that's supposed to be where they do it. The problem is because of the way that the school is structured, study hall actually lasts for 2 periods, so it's 90 minutes. They do not have 90 minutes worth of things to do. So by the time they get into my room, they're done, and most of them just sit there and they are incredibly bored the whole time. And it's it's 7 o'clock. They don't want to be there. So what I do is you do what you do. You play a game with them. And they told us not to do Hangman anymore, and I'm going to get back into that in a minute. But they didn't have anything to do. It's just sit and wait time, so I did that. Well, one of the assistant teachers comes in today and just pissed at me for doing Hangman. She says, "Oh no, that's forbidden now. We're not allowed to do it at all." And I say, "Look, I don't have anything for him to do." I couldn't imagine that they expected me to just sit, stand in the corner and just stare at them for 45 minutes. And actually, yeah, it's exactly what we did. It was awkward. It was, for these kids, incredibly boring. They had nothing to do. Nothing to do in this room at all. We just sat there for 45 minutes. And I am thinking, okay, it's the end of the day. I've got these kids here to do nothing. I'm just watching them while they just sit there and do nothing. This is how we punish kids for misbehavior back in the United States. And then, as if to drive that point home, after about 15, 20 minutes, someone finally realizes how awkward a situation this is. But their solution, they bring in like scrap paper, and then the kids have to take the homework they've done earlier and just write it out, like write every sentence 5 times or every word 10 times. And I'm thinking, this is just punishment. This is our concept of punishment in the US. This is ridiculous. But by itself, it's just, again, one of those dumb things. I hate the place where I work. I really do. It's the worst teaching job I've ever had by far. But I want to talk about what that says in particular. Because I worked in a lot of private learning centers in China. 2 of them full-time, and a lot of others part-time. This one is so much worse. Like, EF was awful. Really corporate, and like the kids were way too young to be working with us. This place is 10 times worse. But the issue of it is, in China, school is hell, to a degree that Americans can't really fathom. Students would older students would routinely describe their high school experience as prison. They'd make that comparison over and over and over again. It's land of the Gaokao. It's brutal. So when we went into private centers that were working with these kids, there was an understanding that what we were doing was different. Like, someone once told me specifically, they said, their schools are boring, and that is not what we were trying to do. It's supposed to be different. That was always the concept. Every place I worked, even if they weren't explicit about it. In Korea, at least in the school I'm working, there is an understanding that this school is just an extension of their normal schooling. So much of it, like, again, we give them grades, we give them homework. It is very much meant to feel like they just left school and then just traveled a little bit and came back into the school. It is meant to be exactly the same. They're not supposed to enjoy themselves. It's meant to be very regimented, and hell of a thing is, and I know again I said this when I was rambling last week. Um, the place I work, experience is not an advantage. This is a school that is made to be your first teaching gig, and then you get the hell out. Because, and I want to emphasize, the curriculum is completely canned. I know I said that before. I want to emphasize just how much that is. Like, we have a set of material that are just like digitized versions of the books that just go, they're just like slides, and you just go straight through them in exactly the order you're supposed to do them. There's even little, like, buttons on them that you can push, and it just reads what's on the screen. I really don't need to speak most of the time if I didn't want to. Like, honestly, you sitting there could do this right now. No, they say you need training. You don't need training because, again, all it is a trained, sedated chimpanzee with a long stick could do this material. It is designed so that it is this far from being automatic. The only thing I do in there is collect the homework and keep the kids from killing each other, and that's really all I do. And the issue there is there's this really strict methodology, and it's just very exacting, and they tell you exactly what you're supposed to do and what order and how long everything's supposed to take, and all the homework is done set in advance, and it's not my option whether to give it. You're told, oh, this page is homework, and you're not supposed to do it in class, and I let them do it in class, and I'd probably get in trouble for that too. But the thing of it is, it's so regimented. There's this idea of sort of perfection in the material, and it gives it this incredible rigidity. Like, there is no give. There's no slack in this thing. There's no room where I can step in and say, I don't think this is good, so let's do something else. There's no room where I can step in and say, look, this material's too light for this class, or it's too easy, or it's too hard, I'm going to fix it. No, you do exactly what they say. Like I said, it is just ticking pot. It's just ticking all the check boxes before you can get out of the building, and that's what it is. And the difference is just night and day. Because I have never in my life, and again, 6 years in China, I never encountered a private, and I probably worked for a dozen of them. I never encountered one that worked like this. And my understanding is a lot of them are like this. This is just the way things are done here is completely different culturally. Honestly, I know people don't think of China as a free-wheeling culture, but it kind of is in many regards. All right, well, that's my spiel for this evening. I'll see you later if this didn't scare you off.